Okay, so quite a few years ago, one of my first videos was doing an overview of this knife here. This is the Gerber Prodigy, the fine edge version. Now, there is a serrated version and there's this version. From my understanding, I later found out after that video was Walmart's the only one that carries the fine edge version. I didn't know that. I don't know if that's still true or not, but regardless, I know this is still sold at Walmart. So, since that was my first video quite a few years ago, I figured today, while I'm out here, I'd do a short little video giving a actual review of the knife. Now, this is not going to include batoning, chopping, carving, none of that stuff. I don't see the point in doing that in the video. I just don't. If you don't like that, then turn away now. Watch out. Watch out, baby girl. So, you can see, the camera will focus, the blade has got some wear and tear. It's got some rubbing of the finish off. The handle is nice and good and stained. It's all scratched up. The camera's probably not going to pick scratches and stuff up. The knurling on the rubberized portion is wore down, but it is still extremely comfortable in the hand. I've had no problems carving with this thing, processing wood with it, doing notches, doing some basic camp or survival tasks with this knife. Now, the edge, I'll talk about that. It is, I think it's like a 4.5, 5-inch blade, somewhere along those lines. But to me, it's about the ideal size. It's about a palm width, which is plenty enough, in my opinion. That nice drop point blade, that the edge holds very, very well. There's been no chips, no rolls, nothing like that in the steel. It's tempered properly. The back edge of the knife, I don't remember if I mentioned it in the older video, but the back edge of the knife is at a 90-degree angle and will, work a ferro rod. It'll work a piece of wood just fine, make shavings and all of that good stuff. No complaints there. Batoning, never had a problem with it. Making notches, never had a problem with it. The handle shape, as you can see, bug on there. It's got this little bit of a swell right here, and that fits in your palm, in my palm, very, very, very well. Makes it very comfortable. It could stand to be a bit meatier, maybe a little bit more to it, but overall it's really not bad. The rubberized portion on it works very, very well when it gets sweaty, wet, bloody from skinning games and stuff like that. Which, might I add, this thing does skin game very, very well. I process a lot of deer, a lot of hogs with this knife. I squirrel as well, small game stuff. I think I mentioned the knurling kind of wore down a little bit, but didn't really make that big a difference, to be honest with you. And one thing I did do right here on the glass breaker right here, you can see it's kind of, camera might not pick it up, but it's a little shiny. It was kind of sharp on the edges here, so I kind of ground that down with a file just a little bit, because what I found was when it was in the sheath and I would bend over a little bit, it would poke me in the side some. So I just ground that down a little bit. But, I have no use for it as a glass breaker anyway. This is mainly a woods survival knife to me. Yeah, that's really the gist of the blade. I really like this knife. I would buy this knife again in a heartbeat. I do not regret buying it at all. A lot of people don't like Gerber for whatever reason. I have no problem with Gerber. This one is made in the USA. You see right there, Portland, Oregon, USA. Again, I have no problem with Gerber. I've owned several Gerber multi-tools, knives and stuff, and have never had a problem personally. The sheath that came with this knife, I mentioned in the old video, I replaced that sheath with the Ontario Air Force survival knife sheath, the leather one. And as you can see, it fits it absolutely perfectly. no problem. Almost like it was made for it. I mean, it really fits it just like it was made for it. And you can buy those sheaths off of Amazon, I do know that. So if you're like me and you don't like the factory sheath, you can replace. Nothing really wrong with the factory sheath, it's just not my style and just wasn't my preferred sheath. But other than that, I mean, the knife is still razor sharp. I have not sharpened it a ton. Plan on getting a lot of use out of it here today, as a matter of fact. So that's really all I got to say about it. I mean, for what it's worth, I have no problem. I feel very comfortable knowing I have this knife strapped to my hip. Very, very comfortable. I'd recommend it. I mean, for what that's worth, I don't know if it matters to anybody, but I would recommend it. Like I said, if this nothing were to happen to this knife, I were to lose it today, I'd go tomorrow and buy a new one. That's how much I like it. So if you have any questions on the knife, let me know. Again, this is just a short little review. Highly recommend the knife if you want it. If you're looking for this style of knife, I'd recommend it. I know now that they got the Gerber strong arm, I believe it is, which is very similar to this. A lot of people don't really pay attention to this knife as much, so I'd recommend it if you're looking for this style of knife. Again, just a short little review. That's really all I got to say about it. So again, if you have any questions, just let me know.